Hey guys, what's going on? This is the second episode of Refactoring an Android app with our friend Rakesh. Hello Rakesh.
Hello.
In the first episode we cleaned up some... We didn't really clean up, we just started with the presenter pattern and we wrote some tests to test this presenter whether it worked or not given some specific input, and we explained what testing is. To me, I had no idea. And Rakesh told us about creating a repository pattern so that we can emulate the code that I have right now in production, which says get all the books and load them into the view. So we did just that. A view, which is going to be a presenter. No, a presenter, which is going to be fed a view, the activity, and it's going to be fed the repository, which is going to get the books. Now, depending on what it gets, this repository, it's going to depend. It's going to decide what to tell the view to show. There are books or there are no books. So that's basically what we had. We had the two tests. They ran. They passed, and we stopped right there. And we mocked our own classes. We said we would get into Mockito, but this episode we're gonna just explain an alternative way of doing exactly this code again in another easier way. Maybe, I don't know if it's easier. But the point is that when we do that, we're going to explain why we test in the beginning. And in the next episode, we're going to do the Mockito thing, because that needs an episode by itself. And that's about it. You can go ahead, Rakesh.
Okay, thanks. So here's our test that we wrote last time. And we wrote our own implementation of the interfaces that the presenter uses so that we can control what it returns. And so we can have the different scenarios that we care about, which is when we have some books returned and when we have no books returned. And so then this is all great and it all works. And let me just run them, see how long it takes. Hopefully not too long. And we can then talk about it. Now,
did that just run? Oh.
No, that's from the last run.
Okay.
So we'll see how long this one takes. Okay, it's indexing,
Wow.
and now it's running, and there we go. It's run.
Wow.
Okay. Still a bit longer than I like, but that's because we're running the extra software on the computers, right?
Okay.
Okay, so a couple of things about this test I wanted to talk to you about, right? Is we create our own instances here, our own implementations of the interface here. And can you see that we controlled it via a boot? So if we talk about the repository first, we controlled it by sending it
a flag,
a flag. But you know, what if we have like more scenarios that we want to test, right? It can get a bit complicated, right?
Yeah, above we had two flags for two scenarios.
And I mean, it's not too bad when it's simple like this, and we do try and keep things simple, but what if we wanted the repository to blow up, for example, like it throws an exception?
Okay.
You know, it gets a bit more difficult to then write more code for testing like that, and you know, and it puts a lot of people off. There are some people who love writing their own mocks, like Uncle Bob says he doesn't like the mocking libraries, he likes to do it himself.
Yeah.
But personally, I just don't have the time to do that. And so I think we should talk about we should in the next episode we'll introduce Mockito, and Mockito will help you to do the different variations without having to write so much code yourself.
Okay.
But for now, in here, there are some changes we could make to slightly improve this and make it a bit easier.
Like
and one of them was like we created our own classes here, right? Well, we don't need to do that, right? So you see this repository, what if I take it out, right? And instead I do this, right? Right?
That class, you have that class because we created that class, right? It's the
what class?
Oh, it printed you the interface method directly?
Yes, because
it's an anonymous inner class.
It's an anonymous inner class, hard-coded to return.
It's the same thing, but without the
You say it's
class,
the same
without the
thing,
mock.
but hold on, let's finish this, right? So then if we
Okay.
do the same thing over here,
Oh, wow, you can just return something here and something there.
now, right, now, we've given it our own anonymous repositories that are hard-coded to return whatever we want them to return.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's run this. Does it pass?
Of course it's
What do you
gonna
think?
pass. Yeah.
Of course it's going to pass, he says.
Wait. Yes.
And of course
See?
it's going to pass. Which means now,
Because it's the
now
same instance. It's the same type of class. Whether it's an anonymous, it cares about being passed a book. No, of course, because this is the matching object. This is of type book repository, and that is of type book repository. So
yeah, and I've decided what the implementation does,
yeah.
right? Based on my requirements at the time. Now, the reason I think this is important to show you is because one of the real benefits of tests, right, are if you write them well, then somebody else can come along and they can read them and understand what your code does.
Okay.
Right? So it's like documentation.
Yeah.
Now, by getting rid of the static class at the bottom and doing it this way, right? All you need to care about, right, is you can just look inside this method, the first one, and everything is there that you need to know. Okay, we haven't done the other one yet. We haven't done the mock view, but the
This is
mock
not a
view can
method.
also be done that way. Sorry?
This is not a method. This is a method. Should pass books to view. Okay. This one passes. Yeah. This one passes correctly.
They both pass correctly.
No,
right?
I mean this one passes the books to the book repository, to the presenter full. It has books.
Yeah.
The other one doesn't have books. Yeah, much simpler.
But what I'm trying to explain, though, is that when you come to this and you've not seen this before, and you have to read this to understand what it's doing, what I'm saying is that because you're not jumping up and down the class, everything you need to know is already inside the method.
Yeah, it's very clear.
So some people, because otherwise it's like, okay, I'm newing up some class. Where is this class? Okay, now I need to go and find that class.
Yeah, that's what happens.
But here, because we implemented the interface right here, all the information is here for you to know, right? So I thought that some people like that, right? Now, a real big disadvantage of this is if we add another method to the view.
To the view, wait. Go, okay, where's the view?
The view is here.
Okay.
No, wrong one. Not the view. If I add another method to the repository.
Okay.
So watch this.
You're gonna have to implement it.
Exactly. And you know what? We don't actually care, right? For those tests, we're only really interested in one method at a time from this interface, right? So it becomes a bit of a pain because then it grows and whatever. And so that's why I think a lot of people like mocking libraries, right? Because then you can control only the bits you care about.
Oh, so you have a mocking library. I mean, you have a mocking class. How do you avoid this with mocking?
Well, I think we should really, you'll be able to see that when we actually start using Mockito.
Okay,
but
fine.
I want you to just be aware of, the fact that this approach has pluses and has negatives, right? And the plus is you can see all the code in line; it's all here. But the negative is obviously if there are changes to the interface, then they're going to come up. They're going to pop up here and say you need to override me, and we're going to, have to do something, even though this test does not care about that method.
Okay.
Yeah.
But 1 second, how were we avoiding this before this code became like this? If you had
How?
the same code before this change now that you did with the anonymous inner class, okay?
When we had the static classes.
Yeah, the static classes.
Yeah. So there was only one static class at the bottom here, right?
Mm.
And so that if we added a new method to the interface, it would complain and it would say, I want you to implement me down here once.
So
Right?
it's still the same problem.
Well, in the sense that you now need to deal with this thing, but the problem, but it's only going to appear here, right? None of these are going to care, right?
Mm.
So whereas here, every test is going to care.
Mm.
Every method in this class is going to care.
Then this is
right?
not the best. This is not a good solution.
This is not a good solution.
The
This is not
first
a
one
good
is
solution.
better.
The first one is better. So but I thought I'd just put that one out there so you can have a look and
Okay.
sometimes people do this, right? Because their interfaces don't change very often, and they think, oh, this is just quick and everything is in line, and I can
There's
just
there's something in Java 8 that allows you to not have to change all the implementations of an interface when you change the interface.
default methods, I think.
Something like that, yeah. To take some default arguments or something when it's changed, so that if someone doesn't implement it, it knows what to do. But it's still overhead or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And I honestly don't know when we're going to get Java 8 on Android either. So
yeah, there's still no
Shame.
instant run over that. I tried it. I turned all the anonymous inner classes to lambdas. It's useless. It's just syntactic sugar. It's not an actual lambda.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to roll it back to what it was before.
Okay.
Okay. And then I'm going to move on, and I would really like to write the repository class that we talked about, because that's going to introduce some interesting concepts I think you're going to find very, very interesting.
Okay.
So, and then if we get time, we should really try and hook it up to the class so we can see it being used in the real world.
Okay.
But we'll see how it goes in terms of time. But before we move on to that, our mock books repository is back here.
Yeah.
And it should still work. Okay. I want to show you how my tests typically look when I write them, because this is very standard. Oh, look, it runs really fast here, right?
Mm.
Okay. So did you notice how... so have you used JUnit much? You've not used JUnit much, right?
No.
So the way JUnit works is very strange, okay? So, well, once you're used to it, you're used to it. But like, what happens is essentially it's going to run each of these methods, correct?
Mm.
And if you have a look, there is some duplication of code, right? So we're creating a presenter brand new each time, right? And so maybe we can, just remove a bit of boilerplate there.
Mm.
But I don't think we can we, without a mocking library? You see, this is where we could really do with a mocking library.
Yeah. But what does that have to do with JUnit?
JUnit has lifecycle methods.
Yeah.
And you can take advantage of lifecycle methods to reduce the boilerplate. But it's only going to be really good if we use the mocking library, which we're not using right now. So I think we're probably good as it is, right? I think we'll just leave this as it is. And we can come back, we can refactor all this later.
Okay, let's write the repository thing. The actual thing. This last file on the right, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. This here, right?
Yeah.
So now we should look at creating an implementation for real of the interface that we actually want to use.
Yeah.
So this is going to sound a bit weird, but I don't want to create a test for this class. The reason is because it's hard. It's hard to write real tests against real things such as databases and network connections and all that sort of stuff. We can write them. I'm not used to writing database tests on Android. And I think we should see how it goes. And if we end up having a lot of problems with this class not doing what we think it should be doing, then we should come back and write tests for it.
All right.
As long as the main part of the application is tested fully and we trust it and all the complicated stuff is there and tested, I think we can cut out a lot of potential bugs, right?
Okay.
So it's just a bit of like, over time as you get more used to stuff, you sort of realize, where your problems really are, because a lot of apps, they don't have bugs everywhere. They have bugs in some places more than other, hotspots, right?
Okay.
And I do write tests for databases, don't get me wrong, but that's from my previous life when I was a back-end dev, and it was quite straightforward to do it because we had the tools. But I don't think we have the tools on Android to write database tests easily.
Actually,
So
that's
we
a
can look
good
into that
point.
sometime.
That's a good point about apps not having bugs everywhere. That's the issue, because when I write stuff, I don't have bugs everywhere. I never have bugs in all of the things that I write. It's just the common things that I know this is buggy, this is gonna be buggy, this is not easy to write and get working from the first time. There are spots or ways or levels of complexity or stages when you reach a stage in the requirements where you know this is gonna be problematic. And it always is. Because it's thicker than the usual requirement. Because
Yeah,
you
and
would
that's another
never
reason
have
why.
bugs in the simple stuff. I know,
Yeah, and that's another reason why we have MVP, right? Because we recognize that if we keep adding more and more code to an activity class,
Yeah.
it become more complicated to understand, and sooner or later you're going to write something and you don't really know if it's going to work or not,
Yeah.
right?
No
And then you end
idea.
up having bugs there. So the idea is, let's break it all up into separate parts and let's test those separate parts. And in this case, I mean, I'm a clean architecture guy as much as I can,
Yeah.
and for me, I want my edge classes, like the book repositories on the edge, talking to the real world, talking to the real database. If I don't want to test it, then I need to make sure it stays simple as much as possible, right? So anyway, let's just see how it goes. Let's create an implementation of this class. And so here's one that I started. And straight away, the thing that we need is we need a...
So you're gonna get the handler to the database helper, the ORM light thing.
Yeah, so we need to initialize ORM light inside this repository to talk to the books table, right?
All right.
Now, I noticed from your model of the database that books contain snippets. So I think at the moment we'll have a books repository, and then we're going to need snippets, right? But you need to call snippets based on the book, right? You don't get all the snippets.
The issue was when I structured this, I still have a I still have a book ID in each snippet, right?
Book ID in each snippet, but that's right.
No, the issue with ORM Lite, how it does it, the point is not to have to go and make another query based on the book ID. Like, it's logically correct, but it's not using the ORM main feature. Like, every snippet should know that I belong to this book. It shouldn't have an ID. It has a book, but that was back then, yeah. So now, yes, you have to make two queries if you want the book and its snippets. Unless we're gonna fix that, like right now, but we're not gonna. But okay.
No, I think that's something that we can definitely fix later on.
Yeah. So your question was, do you need to also call the snippet DAO or the snippet table to get all the snippets on this book? Well, it depends on the query builder that I fed into the final query in books activity.
Yeah.
However that's doing, I'm doing. But the primary thing here in the books, I don't think I get the snippets along with the books. I just get the books and display them. When you want to go into a book, I go and get its snippets.
So in that case, let's start with the simple case, which is just get the books, and we'll worry about the snippets when we get to it.
All right.
Okay. So to finish this off, we want a database helper. And this is just how ORM Lite works. Right? So let's say database helper. You need one of these. Let's make that a field. Okay. Then let's have a look. How are you doing this?
Books activity.
Books activity. Right. How are you getting the books? So you create a query. So
Sort by title and null. I don't remember what null is.
well,
It's
it seems to be
ascending.
implying that you might store a book without a title. Is that true?
If we're not equal, the title is not equal to null. Oh wow.
Correct.
Okay, that reads very
But
well.
why would
Good
you?
job, RM. Light. Yeah,
So
yeah,
the question is,
yeah.
why would you save a book without a title?
Well, because you can't do that.
Really?
I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember.
Okay. Well, anyway, let's keep it just in case,
Okay.
and then we can take it out later.
Okay.
Because really, what you want to do is because the person who wrote the code to save the book was you, right?
Yeah.
And you got the information from the UI.
Yeah.
So it's up to you to decide the validation and to say, I'm not going to save your book because you didn't give me a title.
Of course, I must have validation on the text fields back then, but I've trusted these kind of things to be deeper than it first appears, because you remove it now and then you say, that's why I put it in there, which was also not logical. It's probably to avoid some dumb mistake, I'm pretty sure. Let's remove it.
You sure? Okay,
Yeah.
no problem.
We can add it when we want, but let's just remove it. So basically you're gonna say nothing, just order.
Just order by.
Yeah.
Okay.
Order by order.
Okay, that's fine. So let's go back to our book repository implementation.
In fact, I'm gonna test this right now.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm gonna create a book and not give a title. I'm just gonna see if there's text validation. No, book title required. Okay, go on.
So the way it works is you do database helper dot get book DAO
Yes.
dot query builder dot order by, and then the field which you've called order and true, so it's ascending, and dot query.
Actually, there's that scraping sound about yesterday with the typing.
Okay.
Go ahead, try.
And I think we can just do a return there, right? Or not? Return.
Okay.
How does that look? Is it red or is it not red?
Is it? It is red.
Okay, same because we're not handling the exception. So let's wrap this in a try-catch block.
Okay.
Right?
That scraping sound is still there, as if it's something passing over paper or something. Did you see what it is?
I'm not sure. Is it there now?
No. It's something passing over the microphone, obviously. Okay. So this part I don't get sometimes. It complains about a return statement. So if you pass it inside the catch... Oh, there's two return statements. There's no way that it's gonna be in a case where there is no return statement.
Correct.
Okay.
So we have to cover everything, right?
Yeah.
So basically, if we're trying to query the database and it blows up for some reason, I don't know why it would blow up.
Yeah.
But because it forced me to deal with it blowing up.
Yeah, because the book DAO might be null, because the construction of the get book DAO is in a file, And if you wrote that wrong or something, it's gonna tell you. You know
Okay.
what I mean? It's in database helper.java. I wrote it. It returns of type. It returns an object of type runtime exception. See it?
You wrote this?
Yes. This is how you. I guess right. This is so old, but I think this is in the getting started guide. This is correct. See, the object is a runtime exception.
Yeah, you see, but if we use this, right, then we don't have to worry about the SQL exception, I think.
Where? Where?
Or do we? I'm just wondering. Okay, get runtime exception. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. So I'm new to ORM Lite, but I'm just going to use what you have, right?
Okay.
And then we can work it out.
Yeah.
So how does that look anyway, as an implementation of getting all the books?
Looks neat. It looks self-contained. That's what I would have wanted it to look like, not throwing it inside the activity.
Okay. So, I mean, ideally, what you want to do is that if this catch block gets activated, you want to be able to log it or do something, right? Because it's not supposed to happen.
Never fail silently.
Yeah, never fail silently. I mean, it's not failing because it's going to return an empty list. But the question is, how do you know it returned an empty list because it came here rather than because there's no books?
Oh, you shouldn't return an empty list. This is wrong.
Well, then
just
the only
runtime exception.
Is to throw a runtime, right? But
Yeah.
if we throw a runtime, then the app is going to crash.
You have to handle it.
Crash, right? What do you want to do from a user point of view is the question.
What's the case that happens here at line 30? Something wrong happened with the database?
Yeah.
It's a point of no return. It failed. What am I gonna do? I don't know.
Yeah, so one thing you can consider doing is to hook this up to Crashlytics.
Fine, sure. But I mean, as a user, he's not gonna be able to do anything. It crashed. He's gonna restart as a user.
Yeah. I'm not saying do anything now, but I'm just saying, these are the sort of things to think about.
Yeah, that's true.
Situation. But for the moment, we're in a happy path, situation. So
yeah,
we're good.
Okay.
Now, so at this point, we have an implementation of the repository.
Mm-hmm.
We know that the activity is meant to implement the view.
Mm-hmm.
And then that means that we've done the main coding, except for how are we going to pass stuff around and wire it all together.
Okay.
So remember I said to you about, because I'm not that comfortable with Dagger 2 right now, we could do it manually.
Okay.
With the application class. And perhaps you can then refactor it to use Dagger 2.
All right.
Something. What do you
so
think?
You're talking about implementing database helper here like this way?
So what I'm saying is that this class needs to end up in the presenter, correct?
Yeah.
Right. Now, if you look at the presenter, if you look at the activity that creates the presenter, where are you? Activity there. At the moment, we are passing null, right? But no, what we really want, though, is an instance of that repository class.
Then go ahead. What are you lacking? Nothing. You need a context. That's it.
All right. But we need an application context, right? Not an activity context.
Get application from inside here. It works. No, the one under it. Get application. Okay.
Happy?
If you go on the other one, go to the database book repository. You can just say this. You can just say this, yes. Yes.
Sorry, what do you mean? You've lost me.
If you go back to that file. No, the activity. Yeah, just say this here in line 150 instead of get application. That's your context.
Yeah, but I think for readability,
Uh-huh.
it's a bit more obvious what we're doing here.
Okay.
Yeah? You sure it's going to work, though?
Yeah?
Okay.
Why?
That's
Have
fine.
you tried it and seen that it's not gonna work? Depends on what does book activity representer wait for? What is it expecting? Database repository, yeah. It will work. You're gonna run it? Or what are you gonna do?
We can run it, but it won't do anything. I think the important thing is if we run it, then we just know that the app isn't going to crash.
Yeah, it won't crash.
But it won't do anything either, right?
No, it won't do anything because you haven't done anything, no.
Yeah, but it's probably good to just make sure everything is okay at this stage before we
Sure.
add one more. So do you want me to run it in the emulator?
Okay, if it's fast, I guess. Okay, so you launched the app and didn't blow up.
Yeah, it didn't blow up, which is good that we know that, you know.
So the presenter is being initialized correctly, and it has an instance of the DB helper, and the DB helper is going and getting the books and everything.
Well, no, because we never called the method that says go and get the books.
Oh, you
so
didn't?
What we can do,
okay.
No, I didn't. So all I did was create a presenter just to make sure the wiring was in place. Look, if you look here.
Okay.
What we can do is we can do this, right? Let me minimize this.
Yeah, and go back full screen if you want.
Yeah, sure. So what we can do is we can do presenter dot load books, right?
Whoa.
Yeah, a list, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, what's going on there?
No, it's not gonna do var.
Why not?
Cause it's runtime. Whoa. I'm so knowledgeable.
It's void for some reason.
It's void?
Why is it void? Did we screw up with our...
It is void.
Yeah, void. Okay, my bad. We don't normally do that with presenters. We don't usually, have them return things. We have them talk to the view, right?
That's true. Yeah, why are we doing that here?
Okay, so what we do instead, sorry, this is my fault. You know that view method, which was the one that gets called when there is results, which we expect?
Yeah.
We need to find that method and it display books, right?
Yeah.
In books activity. So what we can do in here is what do you think?
Okay.
So then we can just have a look and see what we find in the logs. Right. Why is it broken? Okay, this is something that's always been there. I don't know what it's about.
No. It's something to do with the API. Disregard it.
Okay, so let me switch that back down.
Okay, so what did you do exactly here?
So the presenter is going to call a method on the view, right?
Yeah. Oh, you're going back to the display box of the view.
Correct.
Okay.
And so it's just gonna log right to the console.
Yeah.
And if it says what we expect it to say, then we know it's all hooked up correctly.
Okay, but you should remove the filter from the logcat and the regex.
You're right. There we go. So is our...
Now filter for it.
No, it's not there. Why is it not there? Oh, I know why. Because again, we never called the method.
You didn't call it either. Okay.
So let's call it.
So now this goes to the repository load books first.
Yep.
And then from there, can you go there to the repository now?
The real one?
Yeah.
What's going on there? There.
So you go here. Yeah, and how's it? Where is load books being called? This is get books.
There.
Yeah, but you're just calling a. Oh, this means that the
Oh.
presenter is what?
Okay. So remember what we're doing here is we're layering our architecture, right? So the
Fine.
activity talks to the presenter.
Okay.
The presenter talks to the repository.
Okay.
The repository returns a result to the presenter. The presenter talks to the view.
Okay.
And the view is implemented by the activity.
Okay.
Do you want to go through it?
So where's the display books in this activity?
It is down here.
Search for it or something.
There.
Okay.
There it is.
Okay, but no one is calling this.
The presenter will call it if it got some books from the repository.
Where is that?
Ooh, okay. So let's go to the top again. Okay, so we can go through the order it will do it, right? It creates a presenter, passes in what it needs, right? Then it calls loads books.
Go to load books. There's book
Right.
list, get books. Okay.
Then it calls get books. Yeah. Which is an interface, but
Yeah.
we know that it's actually going to be calling this one. Runs your query. If there are any books, it should return it, right? A collection of one object, because we know we only have one book.
Yeah.
So then it comes back up to the presenter with one book. So it doesn't go there, it goes there.
Okay.
And who implements display books?
The activity.
The activity. And what will the activity do?
Log.
Log it.
Okay.
So if we see this line, we have got an end-to-end
encryption
confirmation that it works.
Okay.
No, not quite. So let's run it. Ready?
Run it. Applied change. I had no idea. It worked.
Good. It worked. We have it. How do you feel?
I feel good. You did it. Okay.
No, we did it.
We did it. Okay. All right.
Okay, so
it's cool.
That if there are books, then it will come back to the
This is MVP, right? This is it.
This is MVP plus repository pattern.
Wow. Okay. That was. It wasn't simple, but it's clear now. Okay. So the issue now is for everything that has to do with the UI, right? It has to be like this. So display books, display no books, display book information, right? Like when you okay, just go on. Okay.
Okay. So let's finish this, right? Let's finish this. So now what was the class the activity what it was doing was let's go full screen. So what was happening here is that you create an observable that was doing all this stuff to go and get books. And then when it got the books, it was doing this handle empty or populated screen, correct? Right. What does that do? So that says handle empty UI, and then it creates the books adapter and stuff. Okay. Handle empty UI. Now, the weird thing about this, right, is why is it going to the database again and making another query to see if it's empty?
It's because I'll tell you why. Because this method, my friend, is being called by someone who sometimes is not aware of how many books there are. As you can see, no books are passed to this guy. So it's a situational call. Sometimes it's being called from a place where it knows that there are books. That doesn't matter. In a place where it does know where there are books or not, it shouldn't be calling this. I'm not sure.
Right at the moment, yeah, I think at the moment what's happening is that it's making a call to the database to go and get a list of books, and then after it's done that, it's making another call to find out if there are no books in the database. Another query. But if you use the return of the first one, you wouldn't need to.
Of course, of course.
But that's fine. We can deal with that. So essentially, the question then becomes is it comes in here.
Can we memorize which line this is so we wouldn't have to scroll so much? This is 152. So when you want to go there, just go to line. Because
How do I
it's,
go to line?
I think Command L or something.
Command L. No, not for me.
How can you go to a specific line?
I don't know.
You never had 1000 line activities? When you do,
I have had line activities.
you're gonna have to go to line.
Yeah, but it's fine. Don't worry, it's fine. Well,
Okay.
what you can do, you can split this into two windows, and one is at the bottom and one is at the top.
Either way. About
Either
the
way.
observable.
Okay. Anyway, so if you got some books, right? Then what you want to do is you want to display them, right?
Yeah.
So we know that we have at least one book, so we can deal with that scenario first, right? Now what happens is this handle empty or populate screen, right? What we want to know is what does it do when it has some books? Now coming back to this method, the other weird thing is it's got an if statement doing that.
Yeah.
And then it's got an else if statement doing the same thing.
What?
So
this can't be right.
I didn't write it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't write it either. How can this be right? Okay.
Okay, so this will never run. You know that, right?
Of course. Yeah.
So let's just get rid of that. So essentially what happens is if it's not empty, then you say set visibility to view invisible.
Yes. Yes. There's a view that you see if there are no books. It says start a new book here, whatever.
Say that again.
There's a view that you see when there are no books. It says no books found. Press the add book to start or something.
Hold on. You see this condition? What does it do?
Okay. This says if there are no books.
Condition.
Yes.
There are no books.
Yeah.
But if there are books, it does this.
There are books. Hide the view that says
empty list layout. Hide that one. Okay, got you. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a separate layout for when there are no books.
Yes.
Okay, right. So then what we want to do is if there are books, we want to do this, right? Agreed?
The one, yes. Okay, yes.
Yeah. And that is what needs to go in here.
Okay. Display books.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Because we have some books, right? So you need to make it invisible, right? This thing.
Okay.
And
actually display the books.
Well, let's have a look at the logic for displaying books. Where is the logic for displaying books? So this is the logic for if you have no books, right? Empty list set visibility visible. Okay, that's the opposite of this, which makes sense. I don't know what jumping beans are.
This is a view that it's just 3 dots that go like this, as if it's waiting.
Oh,
doesn't matter.
So this is basically when there are no books to display. Agreed?
Yes.
Which is the other part of
our display no books. Right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. How are you feeling so far?
Very good.
Okay. Now, back to onCreate. So what this is going to do is it's going to do all this stuff. Are we missing anything is my concern, right? So it comes in here. Okay, we still need to do all this book adapter stuff.
Yeah, that's the one that shows the books.
But this always runs even when there's no books.
Yes, that's true.
Is that okay to do or not okay to
It's
do?
not okay, obviously, no. But
Well, you say obviously, but it's not obvious to me.
yeah. Well, yeah, I'm not responsible for this code. I don't know what's happening here.
Okay. All right. Okay. So what we're saying is, if there is something to display, then do this, right?
Wait, yes.
So again, that could go into. Um,
The actual display box. Okay.
can I get rid of this comment?
Yeah. This was when I wanted to put some ads. Didn't like them.
Okay. Now. Okay. So that's that. The other thing I noticed, and the most important thing, if any of this is going to work, is that when you got the books,
Hmm.
what you assign the books to an instance variable.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to do that. We haven't done that because
Okay.
this returned null. It came back to the calling code down here. I found some books. So the one thing we definitely need to do is we need to make sure that this dot books equals list.
That's right.
Now we've set up the instance variable to be whatever came back here, and then everything else should just work, right?
Right.
Okay.
But you have still the observable code.
So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out. Now I did notice something strange is you are doing this thing here, but you don't use it. So what I'm going to do, it's got nothing to
Okay.
do with this observable call, but I don't know if it's required. So I'm going to take that out and just put it up there so it runs. Because I
Okay.
don't know if it's needed. We
Okay.
don't need the query builder because we've moved all this logic out into the repository.
Yeah.
We've already dealt with that. This does nothing. And then this calls, well, this does nothing, right? It is on next null,
This
right? Which
is
is nothing.
garbage, and this is I don't know where this is. Okay.
Listen, it is garbage,
I
but
know.
just know that I spent a whole weekend with RxJava myself, and it was hard.
Really.
So, yes. So
Okay.
don't feel bad that, this happened because,
Nah, it's funny.
it is bloody hard.
Okay.
And, I still struggle with it, right? So
Okay.
anyway, we're going to take that out. And then the rest of the stuff that happens is to do with drawers. Who cares? Loading images. That's interesting, but who cares? Okay, we can come back to all this stuff. So, right, the core functionality of basically going to the database and getting some books and showing them is done.
But
Shall
it's
we
not
see?
in an observable.
Well, the problem is that you chose not to use observables because we don't want to use observables in the activity anyway. If you want to use observables, we need to put them in the presenter or we need to put them in the repository. Now, do you want to use? Why do you want to use an observable? Is my question.
Just to emulate the exact behavior of this one.
Okay, but then you need to decide. Yeah, well, we'll come back to that then, right? Because then we need to decide whether we're going to do in the presenter or we're going to do it in the repository. I think we need to do in the presenter.
Okay.
Maybe that could be another video.
Okay.
Yeah?
Go ahead, run it.
Okay. How confident are you?
It should work, because it's the same thing. It's the same thing, it's gonna work. So this is not relying on my old code, this is new stuff.
Yep.
Okay. So we're not gonna see a log, are we? We're gonna.
We will see log. Unfortunately, I mean, with legacy code, with existing code, you have to sort of do it this way, bit by bit.
Yeah. Because when I want to do it, I see like it's a jumbled thing. Wow, it returned it. Oh, okay. As if nothing happened.
How do you feel about that?
Very good. Like I could do that with everything now.
Look, this is the bit that you should feel really happy about. Watch this.
Whoa!
Okay.
Finally.
So we had 800 plus lines, so we've managed to get rid of some of them, right?
Okay.
And we moved stuff out, and we moved stuff into classes that are single responsibility and are, well, the presenters tested. I know we didn't test the database, but you saw what the database was doing. It's so simple. Go to the DAO and go and get me all the records. It didn't do anything interesting, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's really good. So the other scenario is making sure that the 0 books returned works.
Okay, delete the book.
How?
This overflow button. Okay. Try to dismiss it.
Oh, it blew up.
Whew. What is that? ORM light. What is it trying to say? Okay, can you click on where it was? Where is that? Line 383?
Yeah.
Okay, where is that sitting?
Within this method.
Yeah.
But nobody calls that method.
Nobody calls that method. Yes.
Nobody calls that method. Look, it's also oh, can I ask, have you been putting method calls inside your XML?
No. No. Find usages.
Oh dear. Why is it multiple places?
Go to the place where it's.
So there's 3 usage of this.
Where are they?
Okay, this is the one we're looking at.
Okay.
The snippets activity, but we haven't done anything with the snippets activity. Why is the snippets activity here?
Okay, never mind.
Oh.
I think it's I don't think it's because it's an issue on back. It's not an issue while you're working with it.
Right.
Try to launch it again.
Yeah, I also have a sneaking suspicion instant run might be also getting in the way.
Yeah, might be. Yeah, that's true.
Also, we don't need this either, right?
It seems to be used.
Yes, you're right. It is being used by other methods, other lifecycle methods.
Yeah. So when you launch now, there should be no books.
Correct. Assuming the delete worked. I'm assuming it did. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we'll know, right? Ta-da!
Wow, that's great. Okay. So now we have a case for books and we have a case for no books, and both do the exact same thing as I used to do. And prepare query builder is gone also down there. Don't need it.
Take out the method.
Yeah, we don't need this. Okay. I'm not sure what now.
Well, because we got to a point where everything is stable, and what we've done essentially is we've retained the old functionality with new code.
Yeah.
We should really commit this and be happy, and then think carefully about what big next thing we want to do, because we've actually finished what we started to do.
Oh, okay. That's great. So we can like delay it till the next episode where we use Mockito.
Yeah, let's do that. I think that's a good point to stop.
Well, thanks. Thanks for that. I'll see how I can study this to try to implement it myself on some other things, but I don't want to rush things. Like, yeah, let's just leave it to the next episode. One thing I want to say is I'm not sure what people feel about not having the code provided. So just let me know about suggestions on how you can check this code on your own, because I don't have a plan to open source this completely. So maybe if I share the specific classes where MVP was implemented and leave the rest up to you to implement in your own activities, maybe that would be a good idea. But to open source the whole thing, there's no plan for that. So let me know. And that's about it. Thanks a lot, Rakesh. That's the second episode completed. Have anything to say? How long did it take you to understand all of this when you learned it? How did you learn it even?
Which bit?
The MVP, the whole thing.
Yes, man. Yes.
Okay.
It took a long time because when I started, it was like there nobody was talking about it, and I only knew about it because I came from the server side, and I'd seen a similar pattern with MVC, and then I looked at what Martin Fowler was saying, and he was talking about MVP,
In
and
what book
then
specifically?
not on the books, on his blog.
Oh, okay, okay. He's on.
Yeah, his blog is really good. He talks about all sorts of stuff, and he talks about patterns for GUIs and stuff.
Okay, we'll link
in a
to
lot
his
of depth.
blog then.
Yeah, do that. It's
Because
good.
I've only heard of him. I know Bob Martin, but I've only heard of this guy. You know
Yeah,
who I like especially? The guy behind Stack Overflow. Not Jeff Atwood. The other guy, Joel Spolsky.
Okay, Joel Spolsky. Yeah.
Really, really
That's good.
tough guy, but
Yeah.
smart. Okay, so that's about it. See you in the next episode, guys. Goodbye. And that's it. We're gonna cut off. That went swimmingly. Again.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stop recording. Stop recording.